are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York girls. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 664. And I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
Good. I am going to read you a series of numbers, Jay, and you have to figure out what I am talking about.
Okay.
Okay. 14, 15, 11, 13, 12.
14, 15, 11, 13, 12. That is the number of bench points the Knicks have scored each game?
There's no way the Knicks have gotten that many bench points. Knicks, by the way, had the worst bench. Not that they might have the worst bench. They have the least productivity, that's a better way of putting it, out of any bench in the NBA, and the most productivity out of a starting five.
Well, I mean, they might also have the least minutes played out of any bench, so...
That might be true also. No team has put less into their bench and more into their starting unit than the Knicks.
I mean, for December, 3 out of the top 5 minutes played were Knicks, so...
But 2 were not, so, and I bet they were Jalen Brunson and Towns, because they have backups.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So you are not correct. 14, 15, 11, 13, 12.
Okay, so that is the amount of points Hart has scored over the last 5.
No. That was close, though. That's very close.
OG?
No. Josh Hart's points are 15, 23, 13, 23, and 12.
Okay.
The last 5 games. I was reading you the rebound totals of the best 6'4" and under rebounding guard / smallish forward in the NBA, Josh Hart, who is putting insane rebounding numbers for a guy who's 6'4".
He is. That is pretty nuts.
Yeah. He has been, first of all, he is now, what was he, 4th all-time in triple-doubles on the Knicks, in Knicks history, in less than, in about 2 years here?
Yeah. He is just phenomenal. Anytime there's a missed shot, he's just flying in. He's flying towards the hoop. He's like Rodman, where he was able to look at the shot and see, like, predict where the ball is going to bounce to and get in the right spot.
Yeah, he said basically, like, I wasn't tasked to do this in the past, but like now that I'm paraphrasing him, but now that like they need me to do this, I am doing this 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he seems to know where the ball's going. He puts such insane effort to get the ball. It is crazy. And also, I'll read you something else. 12, 10, 7, 2, 6. His assist numbers over the last 5 games. The dude is doing goddamn everything.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, obviously the best season of his career so far. I mean, most of the starters are having the best season of their careers. So
it's weird because our coach can't develop players. At least that's the narrative I've been told for years about Tibbs. Even though people play, every time a player develops and plays better under him, it's in spite of Tibbs. But weird, Josh Hart is having the best time of his whole career right now, and there's some percentage of the fan base is like it has nothing to do with Tibbs.
Towns is in the 9th season of his career, and this is his best season, like, by far. So he's had some good seasons, but he looks like this. He finally looks like an MVP candidate. Yeah,
he never looked like before.
He's creeping up on MVP lists. It's like everybody has like Shea, Giannis, and Jokic, but Towns is popping in on like 4th, 5th on people's lists.
He is popping in on all the lists because he's having a monster season.
Yeah,
he has been ridiculous. The Knicks have. What are they? So they won 9 in a row.
Yeah.
So we've been off for 2 weeks. Apparently we should be off for the rest of the season because the Knicks have been undefeated since we left the show.
They have. They've been. We took a little bit of hiatus for the holidays, and The schedule was easy, but the Knicks took advantage. In the past, they would have lost one or two of those games. A couple of them were very close for comfort, but they pulled them out. And like I said, in the past, they would have had an off night and just blew one of those.
I saw a statistic that last season the Knicks were 6-18 when they shot under 33% from three, which is understandable. It's a very much a 3-point driven league, and if you're not hitting your threes, most nights you don't win the game, right?
Right.
So this season, I believe the Knicks are. I don't know how they shoot last night. They're probably over 33% last night. The Knicks are, I think, 7-6 in games when they shot under 33%.
It's not bad. Not bad.
That's not bad at all. The fact that the Knicks are like, when they don't hit their three, and they lately, the last week or two, they've not been hitting their threes, and they found a way to win the game anyway.
So Tommy Beer is a good follow on Twitter, and he posted the number of 9-game winning streaks by the Knicks under the last 22 head coaches, going all the way back to Red Holtzman.
22 head coaches, which if you were a fan of the Knicks in the anywhere between 2000 and 2019, you would have assumed the 22 coaches were all in that period.
Yes. Yeah. It was like every, 18 months, maybe 2 years for a coach?
It was a lot of a clown car of a couple good coaches. Well, Woodson, D'Antoni, I guess, and then nothing. Yeah.
So do you want to guess how many of those 22 coaches had a 9-game winning streak?
Okay, so this is basically since the history of the franchise, you're saying?
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Since I don't know if there was anybody before Red. Maybe.
Okay, because I think their all-time record's 18 in a row.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say the last 9-game winning streak was under JVG, Jeff Van Gundy.
Jeff Van Gundy had 0.
Okay, Pat Riley.
Pat Riley had 3. But there was one in between that, which was...
Okay, the one in between that, Woodson.
Yeah. Yeah, Woodson had 1. Sense. Yeah, Riley had 3.
How many does Tibbs have?
4. The only one that has more is Red, who had 5.
Okay, so I'm assuming it was post Derrick Rose trade, post Josh Hart trade, post OG trade, and now.
Yeah. And the only other one was Rick Pitino with 1.
Oh, okay.
So it's 14 total, and 4 of them are under Tibbs.
Tibbs is doing, I guess, a good job. I think Josh Hart also, they talked about how he was viewed on other teams as, at best, a solid role player on your bench, and he definitely was not viewed as a distributor. Tibbs seems to have believed in Josh Hart, given him a ton of minutes, and he's turned into an awesome player.
Yeah, absolutely. He was also seen as a poor shooter, and he's shooting very well, too.
This is how mediocre, and Josh Hart's great, but this is how mediocre Josh Hart was considered. When the Knicks traded Cam Reddish and a late first-round pick for him, a lot of Knicks fans were like, including us, we weren't even sure about it, but so many Knicks fans reflexively were like, for Josh Hart, we're giving up the great Cam Reddish and a first-round pick for Josh Hart? What are we doing?
I was happy that they traded Cam Reddish, for the record.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was more the first-round pick.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned about. If you want to look back go back to our shows and re-listen, I was a little reluctant at first. I hate trading draft picks. But in 2020 hindsight, it looks like the greatest steal ever.
Yeah.
Cam Reddish, first of all, no offense to Cam Reddish, but yeah, he's barely an NBA player. First round pick, Josh Hart has been holy shit good.
I mean, most of these trades have looked like completely lopsided. At Towns for Randall and Dante, like that's looking like a steal. I mean,
Jay, I have to tell you something. Let me find it first. Jay, I have to tell you something. I'm not trying to insult you, but you hoop like you're playing in jeans. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Randall and Anthony Edwards apparently got into it, a brief altercation during scrimmage. And Edwards said to Randall, "You hoop like you're playing in jeans."
Oh, Jesus. So they might make a trade at the deadline because I don't know if they're going to want to. If Edwards doesn't like him, he's gone. He's an expiring. They can't lose him for nothing, and they're not going to re-sign him if he doesn't get along with Edwards.
Can Randall opt in for next season?
Let me look that up while we continue. But either way,
Randall's probably not going to opt in because he probably can get a bigger contract than a 1-year deal.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think they might trade him. I mean, they're not. Doesn't seem like they're clicking.
He's not that far from being an all-star this season. Also,
he has a player option. He's on a declining contract, so he's going from 33 to 31.
His numbers this season, on the face of it, I haven't watched that much of Minnesota, and he didn't look great against the Knicks. But his numbers aren't that much off from last season. He's having a decent year, numbers statistically at least.
Yeah, it just seems like chemistry-wise, it's off.
Something's off, and I think Dante the other night had his first good game as a T-Wolf.
He had back-to-back 20-point games over the weekend.
But he's been so bad. I think hopefully he's finally getting back to Dante. Though I had a wild conspiracy theory where Dante was going to try to play unbelievably terrible so he can get cut, so he can get back to the Knicks. But I think that's not happening. That would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
I mean, Randall's actually shooting the best from the field this year than he did any year for the Knicks.
Yeah, what did he shoot? He's shooting 48, 49%?
Yeah, and from three, he only had one better season on the Knicks, so he's not...
He's 35% from three?
36.
36% from three. Not as many rebounds because he has Gobert next to him, so that's understandable. He's still putting up 20 points a game. Solid numbers. Minnesota got robbed.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about those numbers. Towns is just going off.
How much Cat did you watch before this? How often did you watch Minnesota play?
I mean, twice a year when they played the Knicks and in the playoffs, pretty much.
Once in a while, I'd watch a national broadcast.
Right, yeah. It's a random game that would be on national TV, but it's not I don't have League Pass, so I couldn't really watch them a lot.
And a lot of time there, the team was just bad. And obviously they were good last year with Gobert. But it's also there's some games where he wasn't he'd fade in the background, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what was going on there with Cat there, but Cat on New York looks insane.
Yeah,
he puts up what they call a quiet 30 points sometimes.
Has anybody looked into where Basketball Reference gets these nicknames for these players?
What are the nicknames you're talking about?
For Julius Randle, Beyblade.
I've heard. The only reason I've heard that is because I've looked at this before. That's all.
Big Jew.
I'm sorry. What?
I don't think that's great.
Big Jew. All right, what's the spelling there?
J-U.
Okay. They may not want to use that one out loud.
I know. Has anybody ever actually used that one?
I think you could have called Goldberg, the professional wrestler, Big Jew. I think that's it. That's where it ends.
Josh Hart, I like it. Josh Barkley. That's not bad, but I've never heard it.
I've never heard it, but I like that.
And Heart of the City, I've also never heard.
Do they only it's only the most obscure? It's the real nicknames or trademarks, so they have to think of shittier ones for Basketball Reference.
Maybe they just scrape Twitter and one person said it once and they're like, "Yep, that's his nickname."
Right, every time I see that, once in a while you see a real nickname. Most of the time, these nicknames I've never seen.
Yeah.
But I would kind of like to hear. I want to watch T-Wolves games now to see okay, with a slam dunk by the Big Jew, from three. Big Jew never seems to pass the ball. I would just love to hear them call him Big Jew the whole game.
I just looked up Karl Malone to make sure the mailman was on there. And it is, but King Carl is also on there.
Okay, so they took the one that everyone called him and the one that no one's ever heard of.
King Carl.
King Carl? Go to Wilt Chamberlain. Do they have Wilt the Stilt?
Let's see. They have... Yes, that's the first one they have.
And the other ones are just
There's a million...
Wilt.
The Big Dipper, Dippy, Dip, The Load, Big Musty...
I like the load.
The Record Book, Hook and Ladder, Wilty, Whip, Whipper, and Norm.
I mean, we weren't old. Norm?
His middle name is Norman.
Okay, I don't like calling Norm Powell Norm. We didn't watch enough. We never watched Wilt play, so obviously maybe the whole game they're like Norm for 2, Big Dipper. I mean,
I doubt they were saying Big Musty.
Big Musty.
This is amazing. Maybe during All-Star
like
break we could just do a whole episode of this.
You know what would be great? They should have like a thing where like they interview players. They give them 4 choices, and they have to figure out which is the fake nickname, which is a nickname not actually on Basketball Reference.
Right? Yeah, that would be good.
So 2 things I want to before we go back to the Knicks. 2 things. Well, one thing's Knicks related. I have one thing that's makes me. Well, both of them annoy the shit out of me. You want to hear them?
Sure. I just looked up Brunson. There's
okay. What's Brunson's?
I mean, most of them we've heard. JB, Brunson Burner, Bruns him, King of New York. But there's also Big Body.
Big Body?
Yeah.
Is that calling him like tiny?
I mean, big head maybe, but
maybe it's like calling Wemby tiny. Maybe who the hell knows? Okay, so the first thing that annoys the shit out of me is fans for voting for All-Star. Wait.
Oh, you faded out. Fans voting for All-Star, you said?
Okay, I hit my mic. Okay, so the first they gave the first update. Can you hear me? Is this working still?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. We got our first update on All-Star voting.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, I chatted with about this offline. Mm-hmm. Currently, number 1 in guards category is LaMelo Ball. He has 940,000 votes. Jalen Brunson only has 470,000 votes. So first of all, if you're a Knicks fan, there's freaking 30 million people living in New York. Vote for Brunson. Let's get him to be number 1. Also, the Josh Hart should be on this list. Mikhail Bridges, the Knicks starting 5 should be on this list. Basically, they should all be in the top 10 for votes, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest market. I don't know why. Also, I don't get Ball. Like, does he have national appeal?
I guess he might. Maybe the 12-year-olds who are voting, you can vote multiple times. Like, the whole voting thing is. My issue here is we have to do away with fan voting for the All-Star game. It is so goddamn stupid to say LaMelo Ball's an All-Star this season.
Well, I also don't like it's like you can vote every single day, and then some days are like 3 times the vote count, and like it's just like a chore. Like, vote once per like email address and be done with it. Like, I don't want to vote every day for 60 straight days.
I'm watching all the games, doing a stupid podcast about this. Don't I have to go online and vote every day for like my players?
Yeah, it's
also like players are judged by like how many All-Star games they get to. Stop making it a fan vote. It is so goddamn stupid. It's an LaMelo Ball being an All-Star this season, which is headed towards that because of the stupid vote, is an embarrassment. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, somebody like really deserving is not going to get on now.
Right now, for guards for the East, it's LaMelo Ball's number 1, absurd. Donovan Mitchell totally deserves to make it. Dame Lillard does not deserve to make it. He absolutely does not deserve to make it. And Brunson's 4. It is Jordan Poole is 8. Jordan Poole should be making the All-Star team in China right now.
Yeah, it's insane.
Completely absurd. The front court, you have Giannis, Tatum, totally fine. Then Towns should make it. Then Paolo. Paolo has missed most of the season. Why are you voting him in?
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't they just remove it from the website if the guy's played like, what did he play, 7 games?
I don't know.
4?
Maybe a few more, but like it just the fans
so.
should not be voting anymore. First of all, the fans are voting and they still are not watching the game. So just figure something else to make the All-Star game more exciting. Remove fan voting. It doesn't help at all. It's just stupid.
Powell played 4.5 games.
He's played 4.5 games, and right now he's headed towards the All-Star team.
Yeah.
And that's also later on that people will be like, oh, people judge players by going, how many All-Star teams do they make?
Right.
And you could be like, oh, well, Paolo was a multi-time All-Star, except he made it in one season where he wasn't even playing.
Yeah, I mean they've been doing that forever. Like Yao made it once when he played like 5 games. They've been doing that for a long time. I don't like it.
The West right now makes Jokic is number one, fine. Durant, who's Phoenix is having not a great season. LeBron, of course. Davis, Wembanyama. It's not crazy. The guards, Shea, Doncic, Curry, Irving, Edwards. That's fine. Nothing crazy on the West. The East just doesn't make it is. LaMelo Ball being number one right now is just it's the second most thing that's making me most angry.
Yeah. What's the first?
You know what's first? Optimum and MSG. I cannot stand MSG and Optimum right now. MSG is no longer on Optimum, which most people know. If you live in Long Island, Westchester, a lot of parts of New York, you don't have many alternatives for cable, and now they're in a dispute, and I want them both. I want just the worst things possible to happen to both sides that are negotiating.
Yeah, it's just there's no good guy in this. It's just greed back and forth. The Optimum has almost a monopoly. MSG knows they got them by the balls, so they're not wavering. Like everyone's the bad guy, and then I'm like, oh, I'll get the Gotham app. The Gotham app doesn't work. It's $30 a month, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like
it's crazy that the MSG is like at this impasse with and they're like, okay, the alternative is come to Gotham app, and our app, the reviews in this app are insane. Everyone basically hates the app.
It's got like a 1.5 out of 5 in the App Store, which is like the shittiest like scam mobile games have like a 3, and the Gotham app has a 1.5.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me like it works fine on the phone, which is definitely not how I like to watch my basketball games. So, yeah, I don't even know what to do at this point.
I mean, and also they're going back and forth. Optimum on MSG are going back and forth on Twitter. Here at Optimum, we love the Knicks, Rangers, Islanders, and Devils. We understand losing channels can be frustrating. We are frustrated too. We've worked tirelessly on your behalf to reach a fair agreement with the MSG networks. However, they refuse to offer a fair deal. MSG comes back. We have offered a number of proposals that call for you to pay us less money than last year. You refuse, blah, blah. I hate both of you. First of all, Optimum, the only reason I am paying you for cable is so you can carry the goddamn Knicks and the Mets. Nothing else.
Same.
You drop those. You drop the Knicks. I don't want to pay for cable anymore. Everyone. So if you're an Optimum customer and you're listening right now, I called Optimum. They gave me a $60 credit on my cable bill because of this. Everyone needs to call Optimum, whether you want the credit or not, and you should want the credit, because the more people are asking for their money back, the more the pressure's going to be on to make a goddamn deal.
Yeah. I had Time Warner when they got into a fight with MSG. So the fact that this is like keeps happening makes me think MSG is more of the problem.
So from reading online, there was some proposal to make MSG like an extra pay station, which is absurd. I guess they're asking for more. MSG's asking for more money because they know people are only basically paying for cable for live sports. But just, I'm not like I screamed at the. I tried to as nicely as possible. Like I said to the customer service person at Optimum, like, listen, I know it's not your fault, but drop freaking the Oxygen channel. Drop MTV. Drop things people aren't watching anymore. Everyone's watching this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get League Pass. Oh, local games are blacked out on League Pass. So you pay for every game except the one you want to watch. So you can't do that either.
Fubo TV, they have a free 7-day trial, which I'm doing right now. Right. You could find the illegal streams, which everyone should do also. I think the Gotham the app, if you can get it to work, is like $30 a month. I hate both these companies so much.
I'm canceling cable after this season either way, and I'll just have to figure it out for next season. Maybe I'll roll the dice with the Gotham app. I don't know. Like,
I'm too hooked on the Mets and the Knicks. But yeah, they're not going to carry the Knicks. I'll figure out how to get the Mets elsewhere.
I'm hoping like 11 months from now, the Gotham app like fixes whatever's wrong with it and it's working. I don't know.
I don't know. It's absurd they can't figure this out, though. Like, there's so many. You could really drop so many cable channels that no one gives a crap about. I get like 300 cable channels, and 6 channels are what people watch.
Yeah, yeah.
Just drop them. Just drop like 100 channels right there. Go, oh, MSG, we found some money because we dropped Oxygen and AMC and well, it may feel like AMC. I don't know. Like we drop.
They
There's
should
so
just have
many
a
channels
sports
that-
cable package. Give me all the sports channels. I'll give you $30 a month, and we'll call it the end of the day.
That was the idea with Gotham. If Gotham, if Gotham adds the Mets, I'm in. I'm done with cable.
Yep.
And if they add the Mets and they figure out how to make their app functional, those two things.
According
What
to
about the
Basketball
Knicks?
Reference, you know what OG's nickname is?
Not the Big Optimum.
He doesn't have one.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just OG.
It's just OG. He doesn't have a nickname.
Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Playing versus Towns is way more of a mental battle because the threes are loud. When he makes two in a row, it warps your brain. You start thinking, man, he's killing us from three. The game ends and 31 points, nine from three. The threat of three hurts more than the threes itself.
It does spread the floor.
It spreads the floor.
And he's
when
a good
he hits
passer,
them, you're like,
too.
God damn it. Now we can't stop him from there also.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps the defenses honest.
By the way, for Knicks fan, I don't know if you did this last night, but just generally in case people don't know, you can also for free go on YouTube, type in any game, and they give you a 10-minute highlight package after the game.
Right. Which is
So you
what
can,
I had to
at least if you're not figuring out how to do any of these things, you just want to watch the highlights because there were some pretty good highlights of the Jazz game last night. Towns had a ridiculous dunk in the second half.
Kolek played a doubleheader. He played in an overtime game in Westchester and then came and played for the Knicks.
He put up McBride-like numbers in Westchester yesterday.
Yeah.
30-something points, like 11 assists. Kolek is looking pretty darn good.
Didn't look as good in the Knicks game from what I saw, but...
I thought he looked okay in the Knicks game.
I
thought he could have gotten more minutes. The Knicks it's nice the Knicks were out without Brunson and the offense didn't miss a beat.
And not only that, without McBride, too.
Yeah, no McBride. Hopefully both guys will be back. The Knicks have a huge challenge coming up. They've had a little bit soft over schedule. They're playing OKC on Friday. Going to be a hell of a match.
The Knicks now have the hardest remaining schedule in the league for the rest of the season.
They have the hardest, really?
Yeah. It's not crazy, but they do have 2 against OKC, 3 against Boston, I think 2 more against Cleveland. There's a lot of tough games coming up, but the East is pretty bad, so there's still a good amount of... Still got some Wizards games. Unfortunately, Ivy's now out for the season, but that'll make the Detroit game a little easier.
Josh Hart was asked about the OKC game. He said, this will be a good test. The big man, Isaiah Hartenstein, got paid this summer, so he should be a little slow on his feet and slow trying to protect the rim. We should be able to go after him. And then he mentioned Pockets got a little faster, so he's a little slower.
Yeah, well,
I love Josh Hart.
He's the best. So we got
Really
OKC 11-game winning streak, Knicks 9-game winning streak. Should be a good one. It's a good gauge of where the Knicks are at because, like we said before, the last 8 games, the 9 games they won, not a lot of good teams in there. You got Minnesota, Orlando's good, but they were missing half their roster. Not a ton of
That same Orlando team did beat the Celtics
They did,
2 nights later.
which is why I loved when Celtics accounts were saying the Knicks schedule is so easy. First of all, the Celtics' last 8 games are just as weak as the Knicks, only they lost half of them.
Well, let's look at this winning streak. Okay, so it starts out. So they lose to the Hawks in the crucial in-season tournament that no one gives a crap about.
Which I was actually kind of happy about because then they didn't get that extra game.
Right, no extra game. And who cares? Who won the in-season tournament?
It was.
That's how important it is. You have to think about it.
Was it the Bucks?
I think they won. Yeah. Who cares? No one.
The fact that it took me that long to even think about it.
Jay, who won the NBA championship last year?
Well, that was Celtics.
Yeah. So one of them matters, one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. So they start off. They play the Magic. This is a Magic team that beat the Celtics. They're missing the 2 best players, but still a pretty tough team. Mm-hmm. Then they beat the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are over 500. They're still a pretty solid team. Mm-hmm. Beat the crap out of Timberwolves. Mm-hmm. Then they play the Pelicans. A solid win against the Pelicans. A Pelicans team that it was a hard-fought battle, whatever. Then they beat the living crap out of the Raptors. By the way, Quickly's back.
Yes, but now RJ's out.
How long is RJ out for?
I don't know. It just seems like it's a rule that only one of those two are allowed to play.
Then they had an epic win against the Spurs on Christmas, where Josh Hart, by the way, had 2 key rebounds at the end of the game to steal the victory.
Yep.
Then they beat the Magic again. Then they beat the Wizards. The first game was way too close, but it goes to overtime. Knicks prove when they're not hitting their threes. Close game, they can still beat the Wizards. Then they blow out the Wizards. Then they beat the crap out of the Jazz. I mean, not murderer's row, but like you play who's on your schedule. They got all the wins.
Yeah, I mean, some of the games were a little closer, but their average margin of victory was, I think, 13.5. So that's good.
When was the last time the Knicks were 24-10 this good? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
The 90s?
I think it might be close to last year because they went on that crazy win streak in January. But I think right now they're ahead of where they were last year.
Yeah, no, they're definitely ahead. They're ahead. I mean, the Knicks were like barely over 500 at this point last year.
Right. And meanwhile, the Celtics, who are definitely shoe in for the championship, lost in the same span as the Knicks. Lost to the Pacers, the Sixers, the Magic, and the Bulls.
Yeah. And then they're still obviously a really good team. But the Knicks, you win the games, and you play the games on your schedule. The Knicks coming up, they got OKC, they got Chicago, Orlando, Toronto, OKC. That's a tough schedule. But I mean, like, OKC's obviously tough. Chicago's winnable. Orlando's very winnable. Toronto's very winnable. They can go 3-2. They can go 4-1. Probably not going 5-0.
If they win the OKC game, they could go 5-0.
Well, they can. I'm just saying you're probably going to split with OKC. You're playing them twice.
Oh, right. Yeah.
OKC looks obviously really good as well. It should be heartbreaking to watch Hardenstein play the Knicks.
It will, especially if he goes off.
Okay, Twitter writes, base Nick fan writes, how is Cat scoring 30 points a game so quietly?
I think it's just like he doesn't play like every minute of the game, and the scoring is like with the starters is like they have like 4 guys that are averaging close to 20 points. So I think on most teams, if you have a guy scoring 30, everybody else is like in the teens.
It's also like in the flow a lot of times of like, it's not like, give me the ball, dribble. Let me try to figure out what I'm going to do. Like maybe pass out. He makes really quick his passing. How amazed are you by his passing?
I had no idea he had that.
I had no clue he was this good of a pass. Like he makes very fast decisions. Like getting the ball, he'll make a pass or make a move. I'm not saying someone else was in his role before that that made decisions like molasses, but holy shit, it's night and day how much faster he's making decisions.
Which is, it's more in the flow of the offense. It's not necessarily leading to assists, but it's keeping the ball moving and leading, like hockey assists sometimes, because he's only averaging 3 a game, and Randall's averaging 5, but it seems like he passes more.
He definitely passes much faster. Like he just makes a much quicker decision. It does seem like in some ways I feel like he should have more assists. Like I guess Randall would a lot of his assists were like he'd work down low, pass to one like a guy on the 3-point line, the guy would hit the shot, and that's a solid assist. I mean, obviously that is an assist. Whereas Randall didn't hit a lot of cutters, and it seems like most of Towns' assists are hitting a guy, basically hitting a cutter.
Right.
Which is also just like a more in the flow of the offense type assist. And obviously, like, it's just, I'm amazed how fast he makes these decisions.
No complaints at all. This looks like hands down happy. I wasn't happy when they made the trade originally because Dante was one of my favorite players on the team.
Yeah. But I'm very happy to be. I was not like thrilled. Neither of us were thrilled. What did you think initially? What was your initial thoughts about the trade? Like, let's go back. I mean, obviously not like, I know we could also listen to the episode, but like, what was your initial like thinking?
My initial thinking was that, Dante was one of my favorite players, so I thought they gave away more shooting, depth, obviously, which is correct, but I was also worried because of Towns' contract, and his fit on the roster. And
Right.
well, the Knicks kind of, a lot of those things are kind of correct. The way he's playing, it's worth having not a lot of flexibility, or like the trade's worth it. It's just the things I was worried about aren't as important as I thought they were.
Right. The depth issue, yeah, that definitely was important. Like, we definitely could use Dante still, but he is I didn't think he was as big of an upgrade over Randall as he actually is.
Well, because the Knicks added Bridges and Payne, and McBride took a leap. Dante's not really the position that the Knicks need. They need like a 3 or a 4. So, like having Dante's nice, but then we would just have too many guards again.
Right. If you had Dante, if you told me like we could have Dante, just sentimentally, I'd like Dante back. But if you told me we have Dante or a really solid 3 or 4, the 3 or 4 is what we actually need.
Yeah.
Because you have enough guys that can do what Dante was doing. And Randall, I was like, well, Randall puts up similar amount of points. Is his defense might be better and blah, blah, blah. And now that Towns has had a little more time to adjust, his defense isn't that bad. Not amazing, obviously. But his offense, he's such like when you watch Randall from night to night, you weren't like, Randall needs the ball more. He needs to be scoring more of the points. I mean, just in the sense of, I'm like, Towns, I know you scored 31 tonight. I feel like you could have gotten 50. Can we give you the ball more?
Yeah, his rebounding is better, and
Randall's a pretty solid rebounder, but Towns is rebounding. Yeah, Towns has been a really good rebounder.
Yeah, like top of the league rebounder, and then his shooting is so much better that the offense is just a lot more efficient.
Yeah, that's what the Knicks really did more than anything, is they looked at their roster. I mean, obviously I'm not like, I guess Leon Rose looked at the roster and they say you had guys like, you had Barrett, you had Randall, you had guys who were like inefficient, high volume guys. And you're like, well, how do we make this team better? You need guys who are just more efficient. Mikal Bridges is a more efficient player. Obviously Brunson's more efficient. OG's more efficient. Cat is more efficient. It just works out better if guys are just taking less shots to get more points.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, obviously.
I mean, Randall shot 31% from 3 last season. This season, Towns is shooting 44%.
In fairness, if you remember, Randall had those terrible 6 games. It's probably more like a 34% from 3. I mean, those 6 or 7 games were just
still
terrible.
34 to 44 is a huge
dramatic. Dramatic. It also just seems like there are certain things I did not, for not watching, and you have to watch these players, and I didn't watch Towns enough to really know how the thing of Jimmy Butler calling him soft really stuck with me. He's a tough motherfucker. Like, he just takes it all the way to the rim a lot of times. You're like, dude, like, maybe you don't want to keep going into contact. Maybe you want to protect yourself a little more. Goddamn badass.
Yeah.
And maybe this team just is gelling more now, but the offense looks goddamn awesome.
It really does. I mean, the fact that they were able to win without Brunson and McBride shows that this team has some cohesion, and they're able. Obviously, they won't be able to do it in long stretches against good teams, but they could have a night or two where guys are missing and it's not a complete disaster. I
mean, also, Mikal Bridges been playing awesome. There's no more like, what happened to his shot? He's just shooting well. He's playing really great.
He is. Turns out you shouldn't judge a long-term trade by the first 10 games of the season.
So look at this team, basically, how they assembled it. You have Cat, who you got for Randall and Dante. Clear. Knicks won that trade. Obviously, maybe in the future you'll look differently, but right now it looks like the Knicks just flat out won that trade, right?
Yep.
The Josh Hart highway robbery that trade was.
Yeah.
Mikal Bridges for a bunch of firsts. Not probably for what the teams need, probably pretty even. Knicks needed a guy like Bridges, Nets needed draft picks. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see what those draft picks are going to be. If the Knicks are playing this well, they're going to be like the 24th, 25th pick, maybe even lower, mid 27th.
How old's Bridges? 26, 27 also? So you have him for the
he's
next
28.
5.
He's 28, but he's in his prime. He's going to be in his prime through the contract. Yeah, it's fine. It might end up being a win. At worst, I think it would be a draw.
I mean, the nice thing the Knicks have assembled here, you always want guys going through their prime at the same time. The next 4 years, like all starting five are in their prime, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So which is ridiculous, which is really hard to do, to have five starting players all going through their prime the exact same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus the bench pieces, McBride, Precious, all going, Mitch, if he's ever healthy, all in similarly going through their prime.
Unfortunately, the news just came out that Mitch doesn't seem close to coming back.
So do I have to figure out which is worse news, Mitch not being back, or Optimum and MSG screwing me?
Well, I mean, that puts an interesting wrinkle in there, because you have a team like the Wizards who have a guy like Jonas, who, why are they even keeping him? They clearly stink.
The only way the Knicks can get Valanciunas is if he gets bought out. They can't fit his contract on the team.
Even for Mitch?
Well, why are they going to do? Mitch still has another year on his contract.
But what if the Knicks think that Mitch is just not going to be healthy?
No, why would the Wizards do the trade?
Because they want the number 1 draft pick, and they're trading a guy who is.
You just don't have to play him. You don't have to take back a worse contract.
I don't know. Won't they get in trouble if they just don't play him? The guy's putting up a double-double in like 15 minutes a game.
They're also losing every game with him, so it's not a huge risk.
Maybe.
I'd love Valanciunas. He's not amazing on defense. Great rebounder. Huge body. Be great backup off the bench.
He also seems to have chemistry with a bunch of the Knicks.
Yeah, no, I'd love it, but here's what's going to happen to the Wizards. The Wizards have a couple of contracts that they're going to try to move at the deadline. Kuzma, Valanciunas, Brogdon, Jordan Poole, and they'll be able to move. Because of the way the NBA is now, a lot of teams are kind of close to being capped out for this coming off season. You have to trade similar salary. Teams are going to have a really hard time trading for these players. So after the deadline, the Wizards are likely going to be left with like 3 of these guys, and then the Wizards will have to decide: do we want to keep these guys or let them join the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, Jonas is only making $10 million.
He's 10, but the Knicks cannot trade for him with they cannot match salaries without trading Mitch,
Right.
and without the Wizards wanting Mitch.
Right.
Mitch's contract, I believe he has one more season. I also don't want to trade him, obviously. What is the latest report? What did they say?
They just said he's not close to coming back, so who knows what that means.
Yeah. So he's probably not back till after the All-Star break at the earliest.
Which is after the trade deadline, so decisions have to be made. So you have
he has
one
more.
less
So
year.
Mitch has one more year. He has 12.9, almost $13 million for next year.
Yeah.
So it's not unreasonable in terms of but you can't. No team's going to assume he's going to be healthy. So why are they going to trade for him?
Because they're tanking, and there's also one less year on Mitch's contract than Jonas.
Oh, they just signed him also.
Yeah, but they're a stupid
team. That would be helpful.
They're a stupid team, and so, I would not be surprised.
They're the 2013 Knicks, or 2015 Knicks? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would not be surprised. You could also talk them into the age. Jonas is 32, so you're getting younger. Maybe Mitch gets healthy for next year when they get a good draft pick, and then they're all ready to go.
Well, I think the Wizards would say, give us the first round pick with him. And then you want to give a first round pick for Valanciunas?
No, there's no way. There's no way.
Or maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds or whatever.
Who cares? Have all the seconds. I don't even care anymore.
I would take Valanciunas. He would make sense. Sure, there's got to be some guy bought out at the deadline. The deadline's February, I think 6th. It's coming. It's not that far from now.
No, it's coming up quick, and yeah, I guess we'll have a better picture soon. It seems like the rumors come out about guys that are going to get traded, so you kind of know, like, if you don't see that trade happening, that those are the players that are probably going to get bought out. But you usually don't see a guy get bought out that has 3 years left.
Yeah. 3 years, you're right. They're not gonna. God damn it. By the way, I have a recommendation for a team for a buyout candidate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you, OKC, this is a great time to buy out Hardenstein. Just do it. Like, you'll be happy for doing it.
And Minnesota, if you want to buy out Dante, let's get the boys back together.
Jay, that was a brilliant idea. Also, I can't believe we both have brilliant ideas.
I know.
This is just genius, absolute genius. Buddy writes, how many points do the Knicks have to be up for the Tibbs to rest his starters? Great question.
35. We've
35.
seen it. 35. Tibbs pulls the starters.
35 points with 35 seconds to go in the game.
No, he'll go all the way up to like 4 minutes if it's a 35-point lead.
I was watching the end of last night's game and being like the Knicks are up by like 18 points now. When does Jacob Toppin get to play basketball?
I like when there was 2 minutes left the game before, and he tells the bench that they're going to go in, and then there was no stoppage for like over a minute, so they played like 53 seconds each. It was like perfect.
But just on a side note, so Kovacs had some pretty good games in Westchester. I think he's looked pretty serviceable in his NBA minutes. I think he's going to be a pretty good player.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready yet, but he's shown flashes. I'm kind of curious about Daddier, but I guess they're not seeing what they want from him.
Daddier hasn't even looked that good in the G League games, at least based on like the box scores. Mm-hmm. He's looked decent on defense. I think he's probably a bigger project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, Kovac spent 4 years in college, so like he's a little bit further along just in the development.
At least there's guys that could develop in the future.
Yeah.
Considering all the draft picks they traded, they have Kolek, Daddier, and Huckporty that like might be something is not bad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like from Huckporty. It's pretty soon when some teams can sign guys to 10-day contracts. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting the first 10-day contract to be TJ Warren. The Knicks have to bring him up.
There's our TJ Warren reference for the episode.
Oh, I have to. Come on. He is not that G League is that amazing, but he's been lighting it up in G League. We need a tall 6'8" guy who could score off the bench.
Yeah.
He's playing in Westchester. Why would you not give him a shot?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. The Knicks need to be up by a goddamn complete blowout with very little time on the clock to get the bench players in.
Sam writes, our email is nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Hey guys, with NBA ratings going down, what do you think of the reasons? Ever since the bubble, I only tune in Knicks games and just watch highlights of the other teams. Growing up, I felt like players like KG, LeBron, Dirk, Boozer, Melo, Shaq, Nash, Amari, Yao, T-Mac, J.K., Vince Carter, Kobe, etc. from that era were larger than life and must-see. I have no interest in watching the Jalen Greens and LaMelos of the world. They seem like a bunch of punk kids.
Do you think the three-point shooting is really turning people off? There was the clip going around of the beginning of the Celtic game from the other night, and it was just three-point shot after three-point shot after three-point shot, and it is kind of annoying.
I think there's a number of factors. I think three-point shooting is definitely part of it. I think the reffing is a big issue.
The reffing is an issue,
and not just the fact that they're calling stupid techs, or they're influencing games. The way they've been calling games has led to all this flopping, and nobody wants to watch flopping. It's embarrassing. So I think that's a big part of it. And the third aspect, I think it's just not easy to watch games. League Pass has local games blacked out. The local game channel sometimes gets blacked out. It's just not easy to watch games.
They're also so OKC looks like they have an exciting team, but they're on the West Coast, so their games are always late night. So it's just really annoying to try to watch their games. Yeah,
like football, the West Coast teams are playing in the afternoon, so you can still watch them. They don't. Yeah. Does any team do? I feel like the Knicks are the only team that regularly has a matinee game.
They should do more afternoon. They do it after football. To be fair, after football is over, they're more like day games basically in the NBA.
They should load up on that though. I feel like
they should really load up on it.
Get the football crowd who's used to watching sports on Sunday. Just fill up the whole Sunday with earlier games.
What about this so the Celtics are shooting 53s a game, which it does get ridiculous. What about a cap on the number of threes you can get for a game? In the sense of after you hit 10 threes, the threes are now worth 2.
I still think it's what we talked about the other day. Just being able to defend the 3-point line the same way you defend under the net. I think that would completely solve the problem. I really do.
Can you imagine if they called the game, they called like 2-point shots the way they called 3-point shots? You're in his landing area by the net. So when he
Right.
went for that shot, so he gets a flagrant foul also.
Or you're allowed to smack the guy in the arm because it's incidental contact.
Yeah, that would be just like calling the 3-point line, allowing a little bit more aggressive defense on 3-point shooting would make a huge difference.
Yeah. So
Yeah, those kind of things kind of. Anything else you think could make the NBA just more exciting now?
I think those changes. I really think you need to ref the game differently so that you do away with flopping and the constant threes. I really think the refs need to be like investigated because it seems like every other day there's like just a ridiculous like tack for nothing.
It feels also like when you watch a game and they have like 8 or 9 plays in a row without a foul being called, the game is so much more fun. But when the game is stopped every 3 seconds for a foul, it's just annoying. Or the review calls, I hate review. It takes forever. Basically.
Well, so here's my question. Football, they do a review and they have like a central office or whatever that reviews it, and the review's done in like 10 seconds.
Do they do that? I knew they do that in baseball.
They do that in football too.
Oh,
So
yeah, I don't know why they
like,
can't have a central. Yeah,
we're going
why-
to review it. Okay, here's the call. Why can't the NBA review it that quick?
Right, there should be a central office that does all reviews. The guys in the court should not do any of the reviews.
And it should take 30 seconds tops.
By the way, I didn't know they can do this, but I was watching the Jazz game. Campaign hits a 3. They come back from commercial, and they said Campaign was standing out of bounds. We're taking the points back. The play already happened. They already had moved on. The game had already continued, and during commercial break, they were like, "Let's see if we can take away points from the Knicks."
Yeah, but only specific. Like the rules are so weird. It can only be like the last play before the timeout or whatever. Like they could have made a wrong call 2 plays before, and then that one would have counted. So it's weird.
And I think was it the last play before the timeout? I think it was 2 plays before the timeout.
Was it?
Like,
I don't know.
think the game had continued.
So I don't know. Sometimes they're like that's a non-reviewable call, and sometimes it's reviewable, and it's not clear which is.
I am 100% positive Campaign hit the 3, then they continued to play basketball, then they went to commercial, then they took the play away, the points away.
That shouldn't be a thing.
It is the only. Every time I see something like every 5 Knicks games, I hear something else happen. The refs do something else where I'm like, I didn't know that was legal, but against the Knicks it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Why, if you could do that, why not during the commercials you point out every foul that was like you call everything, review everything basically during the commercials.
There's like a 14-point swing during the commercial.
You come back from halftime. Turns out the Knicks are getting blown out tonight. They're down by 30 points. I thought the Knicks were up by 10. We reviewed a lot of stuff.
Also, Ball's going to take 14 straight free throws. We missed a lot of calls.
Yes. We're not that we have a bias towards LeBron James, but we're awarding him an extra 40 points tonight just because he's LeBron. We got more questions. Daniel writes, "Our offense has looked great. It seems the only defenses that can stop us or slow us down are switch all defenses. Besides Boston, does any other team do that? I haven't watched the Cavs or Thunder games to know. I guess we'll find out about OKC soon. Great show as always." We also got a really nice comment from someone named Reginald. Beautiful comment. We're not going to read it on the show, but it was really nice. I think his show was for off the comment was for off. He was complimenting us on the show. A long time listener, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. I think that was more of a personal message, but thank you, I appreciate it.
Dan, to comment on Daniel's, I do think the Cavs, I think OKC, both play switch defense.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like the top 3 or 4 teams are going to be a problem with that.
Yeah, but I also think the Knicks. I mean, I guess the Knicks have been on a winning streak right now, so I don't know. I think they're adjusting more towards that also.
Yes, it's hard to tell. Like, have the Knicks figured it out, or was the schedule easy? And we're about to find out which one of those this is.
Right. Were switch defenses really giving us an issue, or was Mikal Bridges not comfortable in the offense before?
Right. Exactly. And was Precious still injured? Like, it's different. Like the team's a little bit different than it was.
By the way, I'd like to point out, so the Knicks now have had 4 different players this year score 40 points.
Yeah.
It is crazy that they have 4 of their 5 starters that put up 40 this year.
When Hart scored 17 in the second quarter, I thought he was going to do it. I was like, this is it. They're going to have all 5 score 40.
Yeah, I kind of thought that also. And obviously, he didn't get there, but like, it is ridiculous. Like, they have a couple nights during couple games during this win streak where like the first, I think it was the first Wizards game, not the first, the Pelicans game, where the Knicks couldn't hit a shot, and Brunson was like, "Get on my back, I got you guys," and just dominated. But then like the next night, Brunson wasn't hitting his shots, and maybe it was Bridges in the Christmas game was electric. Basically, they were like, Victor Wembanyama puts up 42 points. Holy crap! I'm like, well, he lost, and Mikal Bridges put up more points. Can you point that out? And can that be your lead story?
Right. Yeah, it's also you don't see the same guys as with the game high every game. Like a lot of Denver, it's just Jokic all straight down the schedule game high. You get Towns,
Right.
Brunson, Bridges, even had a Hart game.
Previous Nick iterations of the Knicks, like Carmelo Anthony Knicks, Carmelo has to have a good game or else we lose. This Knick team, Brunson can be off, we could win. Bridges could be off, we could win. OG could be off, we could win. Towns, there are so many guys that basically can like take it from night to night.
Yeah. Yep.
I really hope everyone's healthy. Everyone's got to stay healthy. Everyone should be healthy the whole season, please. This should be the greatest thing ever.
I know. Like last year, the Celtics got really healthy. Luck with health. Like, let's just have the Knicks do that too, just for one season.
Yeah, just everyone stay healthy would be kind of amazing.
And just for one season, just win it. I don't care what happens.
Right. How about the Knicks? Okay, for one, basketball gods, here's the thing. How about the Knicks don't lose a game for the rest of 2025? Let's just have like an amazing. How much better would that? How great would that be for the American public, for the New Yorkers, the American public, for the world? Really, I think that will lead to world peace if the Knicks don't lose a game for the rest of 2025.
You know what? Just through July.
Okay.
I don't care about October, November.
Jay is offering a smaller, Jay is offering a compromise, basketball gods.
Yeah.
Like, take him on the compromise.
Yeah. We don't need October through December of this year.
You're right. I was asking for too much. July sounds very reasonable. Undefeated till then. Thank you, basketball gods. I think we have a deal. We're good.
We've suffered so much. You owe us.
We have suffered so much. So the Knicks have been awesome. Anything else you want to add while we're still doing the show right now?
I just want to add that we had to cancel X Premium. So if you want to watch us live, you have to go to youtube.com at NYNix Podcast or twitch.tv/crumpledbacon. We're streaming live there or on our Facebook, NYNix Podcast on Facebook.
When are we getting X Premium back, Jay? When are we getting it back?
When they stop stifling our posts for no reason, which they did twice. And then it takes 4 months to resolve. And then they're like, oh, our bad. We just screwed you for no reason for 4 months. And then it'll just happen again.
Did you see the highlight last night? Because I know you didn't get to watch the game because you had problems with the goddamn fiasco that's going on with MSG and Optimum, and you couldn't get the app working.
Yeah.
But do you see the play where they called it? It was after a timeout. Josh Hart got the ball from the other end of the court, and even they were like, oh, he's gonna have to pat. What's he gonna do? And all he did was go straight down the center of the court and just dunk the ball. He ran the full length of the court and just jammed it. And afterwards, I guess afterwards, Hart was asked about it. He goes, "I heard Will Hardy was telling them to pressure me. I'm not much of a handles guy, but I can drive straight. I can line drive the hell out of somebody."
He's so fast on the open court.
He's so fast. When he doesn't finish by the rim, I'm always shocked. Mm-hmm. I'm like. Wait, Hart didn't finish at the rim? That's crazy.
Yep.
He's so much fun to watch. If you had to rank, now you don't have to do this, Jay, but who if you had to rank your favorite players in the Knicks, how would you rank them?
Well, Hart's number one.
I mean, Brunson's still number one for me. I'm sorry. Brunson's still number one, but Hart's number two.
Mm-hmm. Last year it was Dante. So
Dante, I like Dante, but
this year it's probably Brunson, but Towns is so close.
Towns, I am I've never changed my tune on a player so fast.
Seriously. He just seems like he's all in on this team, and it's just mutual. Like the fans embraced him, he embraced the town, and it just working out great.
Before we go, I saw something I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear from NBA? Do you want to hear the draft report on a player on our team?
Sure.
Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
So this was from NBADraft.net
Mm-hmm.
Before Brunson's drafted. Tell me what you think of this whole opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive end is where the most questions will arise for Brunson. And this is but Brunson also was like 34th in the draft. He fell to the second round. He's currently one of the best players in the NBA, which is crazy they fell to the second round. And he was awesome in college. But the defensive end is where the most questions will arise for Brunson. In today's NBA, most teams prefer to play lineups that are extremely versatile and switchable on defensive end. It is far too easy for teams to force switches and get the matchups they want. Brunson could be a liability in this regard if things go poorly. So to be even more clear, Brunson projects as the player who can only defend one position, the point guard, and it's not 100% clear that Brunson would be successful defending starting NBA point guards. What do you think of that? There's more to this take, but what do you think about that initial part?
He's not the best defender, but he's not like a complete liability. He's not terrible.
He's not Dame Lillard out there.
Right. Yeah. That was.
But it's not like this part of the take is like not really that wrong. Like he is hunted. The other teams do hunt him on defense.
Mm-hmm.
He really can only guard the point guard. He's awesome, but like it's not a crazy take so far, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll continue. The fact is that most players Brunson defends, even without getting switched on to wings or bigs, will be both bigger, longer, and faster than Brunson. Not crazy. Mm-hmm. While Brunson is an unselfish player, he has a tendency to at times over dribble while probing the defense, which leads to turnovers. What do you think about that part?
He over dribbles sometimes, but it doesn't really lead to turnovers.
No, it doesn't lead to turnovers, but he definitely probes the defense. This part's not crazy either.
Yeah.
If he can develop a more consistent floater and pull up mid-range jumper, it would help to make decision-making simpler while opening up angles to the rim and while making him a more versatile scorer.
Well, he did that.
He did that. The defensive end is where Brunson must make strides to prove to scouts that he has what it takes to excel in the NBA. Brunson's lateral quickness, effort, and willingness to contest shots left a lot to be desired. What do you think about that? His lateral quickness, willingness to contest shot. How is that? Not crazy either.
I mean, he's willing. I mean,
he's willing, I guess. Yeah,
leads the league in charges.
His
drawn.
effort. I feel like his effort's there. They say which is concerning relative to his relative in terms of all right physical tools. He's obviously he's an insane athlete, but compared to other NBA players, he's not an insane athlete.
Mm-hmm.
When projecting to the next level, it's necessary for Brunson's stock that he proves to be a capable defender, since he'll have to stay in front of the best playmakers in the world at the NBA level. So this whole take isn't that crazy. Like they kind of read him correctly in many ways, and yet he should have been the top pick in the draft.
And he might be
top 5 in the draft.
And he might be a top 10 player in the NBA right now.
I mean, he was all NBA last season. Did he make he made it or not? Wait, he made second team, right? Second team, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the best players in the NBA. It's crazy this take is not that far off, and yet he turned out to be one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, he was second team.
Second team. He should have been first, but he was second. It's crazy how like you can criticize a player, be not that far off, and just like it's the take should end. He will absolutely dominate most games in the NBA.
Right. Crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that ends our show.
All right. Do you want to hear before we go Mikal Bridges' nicknames?
Yes.
Because they're amazing.
Okay.
The Warden.
Okay.
Noodles.
His arms, that fits, even though, again, no one's ever used these names, but like I can see it with his arms.
Inspector Go-Go Gadget. I guess, again, because of his long arms.
I guess, yeah.
String Bean.
It really just his long arms are really like people like this for the nickname.
Brittle for a guy who's
Brittle
never
seems
missed
weird.
a game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Praying Mantis. Again, they're really focusing on the arms there.
really focus on the arms.
Nobody's ever called him Praying Mantis. And Brooklyn Bridges, which I guess maybe Brooklynites were calling him that.
Probably not using that one. I of all the nicknames, the one they're probably not ever going to use again would be the Brooklyn Bridges.
Yeah. But I would argue that Praying Mantis was never used.
I'm going to argue that none of them were ever used. I'm going to argue that Basketball Reference will one day admit that they're making these up.
If I ever meet him, I'm going to call him Noodles and see what happens.
Like, did you? I really want. It would be just a great little bit, basically, for like people to be videoed and go like, which of these is not really a nickname on Basketball Reference for you?
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back soon, and hopefully we will be talking about the Knicks ending OKC's 11-game win streak.
Yes, and we were talking about how it was so great that MSG and Optimum figured it out and stopped screwing over us, the customer.
Yeah, I would like to watch these games, so that would be great.
Yeah, Jay, you want to switch? Do you want to split the Gotham app if it ever works?
Yeah, I mean, we might have to. Like,
Yeah.
what other choice do we have?
Jay, when are we going to a Knick game?
We will talk about that offline, but yeah, we should go. That might be the only way to see the games.
That might be the only way to see the game.
Maybe that's their plan.
Okay, we'll be at all the games going forward.
Right. That's their plan. Get everybody to just go to the games.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll be back soon. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye. Bye.